Molo Sanbunani, hello, how's it? Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is the Thursday edition of Vuka Nazo here on the Big Daddy Liberty Show. My name is Sihle Ngobese, aka Big Daddy Liberty. Welcome to it. Remember, we have a website. So if you want to get in touch with us, find us at www.bigdaddyliberty.com. And of course, you can find us on all our social media. The details are in the descriptor of this video. With that being said, hey man, let's get straight into the news. All right, we begin here this morning. A man walks into a police station looking for a job, ends up behind bars. Now, that isn't a joke. That is actually a true story out in Bethel, that's in Mpumalanga, where a 40-year-old man walked into a police station looking to follow up on an application he had made because he wanted to become a police officer. That individual then being nabbed by the police station in connection with a theft that had been reported against them. The piece, of course, I found in News 24 had this to say. The 40-year-old man had been on the run from the Bethel police since September 2015. According to Mpumalanga police spokesperson Brigadier Selvi Mohlala, Mohlala said the man was sought in connection with allegations that he had redirected hardware material worth about 20,000 rand to another address without permission. End of quotation. Now, that should be, on the one hand, yes, it's funny, haha, but actually it isn't, because it exposes a broader cultural problem we have in this country. Number one, the South African Police Service are clearly not seen by the broader public and specifically by the criminally minded as being a threat, or not so much a threat, but an effective crime-fighting organization, when criminals clearly actually see themselves as potentially police officers. There's something wrong with the overall look, PR, culture, and ethos of the police, where criminals can actually see it as a refuge for them. Which brings me to that second element, therefore. If this individual, this douchebag, saw it fit to apply to become a police officer, how many police officers right now actually have criminal convictions? That's the question I asked myself and did a bit of digging, and courtesy, of course, of the Parliamentary Monitoring Group, which is a organization that monitors everything that comes out of Parliament, from questions to speeches to the like. A parliamentary question from 2020 I found where the DA had asked the police minister this very question: how many people within the service have criminal convictions? Yielded the following result: 4,174 police officers at the time of that parliamentary question, at least, have a criminal conviction. Let me hit you with that number again. 4,174 active service personnel within the South African Police Service have criminal records. That is an insane number, and it gets even more shocking when you consider that of that number, 32 of those are actual senior managers within the police who hold criminal records. It is insane that we even put up with that. Why are these individuals within the police force? Now, granted, if you look at the breakdown of the convictions that these individuals have, fair enough, some of them are traffic violations and quote-unquote mundane offenses of that kind, but some of these include more serious charges such as assault, theft, kidnapping, and even fraud. What are those individuals doing within the police force? These are the questions we need to start asking ourselves if we seriously want to look at reforming the police. But here's the bottom line, and I'll end it off here. There will be no reform of the South African Police Service. We will never be able to shape it up into becoming an efficient, vibrant, visible and effective police force for as long as we have the current crop of politicians holding political power. And why? Because those politicians don't believe on merit. They believe in selecting friends, cadres and cronies into key positions of government, a policy they call cadre deployment, you'll remember. For as long as we have these politicians, these leftist politicians who believe in deploying cadres, friends, cronies, if you will, into key positions of the state, you will never have a police force that is merit-based, where the best person for the job, regardless of race, is put in order to catch criminals. All right, I take you to Durban now, where if you're a Durbanite, goodness me, prepare yourself and maybe hold your nose, because the workers, the Durban solid waste workers, that is the individuals who clean our streets, pick up the trash and the like, have gone on another strike. Surprise, surprise. Again? Yes, again. This time, of course, pertaining to the same matter of their demanding to be paid overtime, as much as 32 hours of additional hours, of overtime, which the city had actually decided to cut in half because it simply was unaffordable. The city saying, hey man, we're simply unable to afford the over 110 million rand required in order to pay these exorbitant overtime hours. And it had initially decided to cut that in half as a means, of course, of saving money, something the eThekwini municipality desperately needs to do because it is skirting with broke. Let's call it that. The piece, of course, I found in the Independent reporting on this, effectively painting the picture of what has been a dismal state of trash collection already in the city, because those same workers, in order to try and get their way, had been embarking on a go slow. So the piece had this to say. The go-slow that had left 80% of areas under the city dirty was finally resolved in favor of the workers, and they returned to work. The cut in overtime budget meant that DSW, that's Durban Solid Waste, had to reduce its overtime budget from 110 million to 55 million rand. It therefore meant that workers could only go on a 16 overtime hours a month, while they had previously been working 32 hours of overtime. However, with the city capitulating, the workers will now go back to a 32-hour a month arrangement. End of quote. Now, this paints a picture of an ongoing mess in the city of Cape Town, where effectively these workers are holding the city and residents of the city to ransom. And simply put, for those of us who live in the city, we can't really see for what benefit, insofar as the city is filthy. The township in which I live in is filthy. But don't take it from me. Ask any Durban resident as to what the state of the cleanliness of the area is, especially when you have more areas reporting, for example, an increase in a rat problem, a rat infestation in and around the city. But hey, those workers don't care. This was those workers who embarked on an illegal strike once again today. Here's images of them disrupting traffic and other things in the city. Have a look at this. So it's absolute pandemonium, as you can see, as those same workers who already inconvenienced Durbanites by doing a terrible job, who already inconvenienced Durbanites by effectively holding even the city to ransom, now literally embarking on an illegal strike and inconveniencing Durbanites further. Now, I have no problem with these workers as individuals. I have no problem with them whatsoever. However, there's something has to give here, and more rational minds have to come to the fore. Other than that, Durban residents, you need to maybe look at community-based organizations to do this function on your own. I've always said this, and I'm unashamed in saying this. I need to see a Durban, a South Africa, if you will, that ever increasingly, when the state fails them, simply takes charge of their own services in their own area with a onsal self or mazakele attitude. It's as simple as that. All right, we'll end off here this morning with a story out of Cape Town, Parliament, to be specific. Yes, that burnt out shell of a place at the moment, seemingly, finding money, that's the speaker at least, finding money to buy 2 new flashy German sedans. All right, spending indeed 1.5 million rand on 2 new BMWs. This is on top, of course, of them having spent 2.8 million rand on 4 Range Rovers or Land Rovers not more than 2 years ago. The Speaker of Parliament coming under a lot of pressure from the DA and the Parliament's union, basically them losing their mind over this and saying, why would he spend money on these flashy sedans for effectively you, the political elites. And I'll tell them why, because politicians don't care. As I always say on this show, hashtag politicians are trash. These are the sort of people who have no interest in you or me. They have no interest in the fact that this economy is in the doldrums because of them, their ideas and their policies. They have no interest in the fact that 1 in 5 South Africans is basically food insecure in this country. They have no interest in a 70% unemployment rate amongst young people, near on 50% unemployment of the general population. They have no care in the world that ordinary South Africans are basically struggling to make ends meet. And in them not having care, you see it in instances like these, where it's always the creme de la creme for themselves and peanuts for the rest of us. Now, on this particular issue, it goes without saying, rather, that, Parliament has come out to and effectively defended themselves on this decision by saying, oh, well, it's part of the fleet. This is what their spokesperson had to say. Now, the spokesperson to Parliament says, that's Moloto Motapo, says, well, these cars, he says, would be used as being part of the parliamentary fleet to be used by all presiding officers, wink, wink. He goes on to say, this is a consequence of the centralization of the fleet management of Parliament, which began in 2015 to ensure that the vehicles in Parliament are managed centrally and efficiently. The aim was to ensure that Parliament has sufficient fleet available in order to reduce dependency on outside service providers and reduce costs associated with outside shuttle services. End of quote. Yeah. It's always the claim of efficiency, and this will help us save costs at 750,000 rand a pop. Yeah, I'm not sure that's saving much in the way of costs. It seems to me that those political elites' bums were just looking for the most precious leather to literally adorn their bums as they're being ferried around Cape Town and the like. Guys, this is completely unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable. Take a damn Uber, dear presiding officer. Be like the rest of us. See exactly what it is to be living within one's budget in this country. It's completely unacceptable that politicians live a creme de la creme life whilst we are basically struggling. All right, that's it from me, folks, on the Thursday edition of Vuka Nazo. Let me know what you think about any of these stories. You can find me, of course, as I said, on my website at www.bigdaddyliberty.com. And of course, if you want to support the show, on that same website, you can find all avenues on how you can make a financial contribution to the show. As little as 100 to 150 Rand a month goes a long way in helping me produce content, and hopefully, please God, one day I can actually start hiring my own journalists who can produce hard news pieces. With that being said, if you're watching this on Facebook, YouTube, especially on YouTube, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, and of course, make sure you tap on that bell notification so that you're notified every time the show is up, weekdays from 7 a.m. With that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow on Vuka Nazo.